Last year, I created a video about my investment plan and goals for the 2024, and I'm glad I did it so that I can go back and see how well I did. So in this video, I'm going to compare my predictions against results. I'll show you my investment plan and goals for 2025. This will also force me to be more accountable, so you're kind of helping me improve myself. And by the way, I'm Robert and I'm glad you are interested in investing, and on this channel I talk about investing and personal finance from a European perspective. Just to give you the big picture, my overall goal with my investing is to steadily grow my wealth. I am a relatively passive investor and I check my portfolio once or maybe twice a month. So for me, steady returns are more important than just get some quick cash quickly, because I'm investing for the next 10, 20 years, maybe even more. That said, this applies to my ETF investing, which is the biggest part of my portfolio. When it comes to my stock and crypto investments, I let myself play and be a bit more experimental with that, and I take bigger risks there, but I'll tell you more about it in this video. By the way, this is not an investment advice. This is just how I'm going to do things in 2025. You should do your own research and don't trust some random European guy on YouTube. So I'll mix it up a little bit, because I'll go first through my 5 goals for 2024, so past year, and then the actual results that happened, and then I'll tell you my plans for 2025. First, in 2024, I wanted to reach an 8% annual percentage yield. So I wanted to make at least 8% on top of my existing money. I set it on purpose lower because we had a really good 2023 where S&P 500 rose by 24%, and it was just exceptional year by all metrics. So I found this visualization from Visual Capitalist. You can see that it just stacks the years compared to their performance. So you can see that 2023 was really strong one, and actually everybody was predicting that we're gonna have a milder 5 to 10% yield in 2024, where you see JP Morgan and the Morgan Stanley, both of them had a very mild predictions. These are kind of the expert predictions, and yet they were so wrong. So in 2024, my portfolio grew by 67%, and half of that is realized profits. So profits that are already in my pocket. If you're curious about how I achieved that, just check my 2024 portfolio recap by clicking on the video banner right here at the top. I'll go through my whole portfolio and everything I did in 2024. So for this year, 25, I'm actually gonna raise my goal to 10%. I still have small amounts of cash aside, just waiting for an opportunity to buy individual stocks or crypto, but I'm waiting for a dip. I don't know if it ever comes, but there's always some opportunity. So I hope at some point of this year I'll be able to take that money and actually make it work for me. But that said, I'm not sure I'll be able to also sell those before the end of 25, as these things usually take time, and usually I keep these stocks from 1 to 3 years at least. So, and in general, I just don't know what to expect from this year. Trump taking office will be interesting to see what it does to the US market and crypto. I do expect that AI hype will calm down a little bit, so that maybe negatively impacts the top tech stocks. But let's see. I'm just speculating like everybody else. We just need to wait and see. Then my second goal is to redistribute my portfolio, because last year I wanted my portfolio to be roughly split by 50% for ETFs, 25% stocks, 10% crypto, 10% for peer-to-peer, and 5% for cash. That was for opportunities, but I actually don't remember how I used that money. I did use it, I think, for just ETFs. Now, I wasn't far from that split most of the year, but since some stocks and crypto grew exponentially, the split got all messed up. And I mean, that's all right. That's a good problem to have. I'm never gonna rush and sell some of my stocks just because my distribution is off and not ideal. So I'm not worrying about that too much. So this distribution is just to give me a little bit of guidance how it should be, and that just so that I'm not relying on more riskier assets, whereas I don't feel comfortable with that. But once I sold high-performing stocks like Tesla and Amazon, and in crypto I sold Bitcoin and Ripple, my portfolio ended up looking like this at the end of 24. So 80% ETFs, 7% stocks, 3% crypto, and 10% peer-to-peer lending. But in the first half of 2025, I hope that I'm going to be able to just get closer to the following distribution: 70% in ETFs, mostly in S&P 500. This is my long-term asset, and it's non-negotiable. This is the whole reason I'm investing. So this will preserve and grow steadily my wealth. And I don't plan to sell anything in the next 10, 15, 20 years. I'm now buying just one ETF, and that's the iShares Core S&P 500 in euros. I think it's on the Italian stock exchange because I'm buying it in euros. It's also an accumulating ETF, and I'll put the ticker somewhere here on the screen so you can see and if you want to check it out. And I switched to this ETF because it's accumulating, and that just means it takes the dividends and reinvests them back into the same asset. Just so if you didn't know, most ETFs actually pay you dividends. That's why you have ETFs that are distributing, which pay you the dividends, and then you have the accumulating that actually keep the dividends and reinvest them into the asset. So that's why I had to change from VUSA, which I used to have as my ETF, and now I'm buying this iShare just because of that difference. I didn't sell my previous ETFs. I'm just starting to buy only this new one. And speaking of ETFs, I actually have a newsletter where I share my thoughts about investing and personal finance from a European perspective. If you want to receive the weekly newsletter, just sign up. The link will be in the description. Then I want to have 15% in growth stocks. So that's individual stocks that I find and think have potential to grow in the next few years. I don't know what I'm going to do yet or which ones I'm going to buy this year, but I'm just waiting for good opportunities. But I'll keep you updated during my monthly portfolio updates if you're curious about that one. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you'll get the notifications when I release those videos. In addition, I want to go back into crypto with 10% of my portfolio. I'll probably just buy Bitcoin or Ripple if there are any significant dips in the price. Otherwise, I'll just wait it out, I don't know, until next crypto winter. And I actually heard something interesting from a fellow YouTuber, Angelo Colombo. He mentioned that he buys Bitcoins every month with 10% of the money he has allocated for investing. So 90% goes to ETFs and 10% to Bitcoin. So basically he's Euro cost averaging Bitcoin, and that just sounds really interesting to me and something I could get into, and I'm gonna actually look into, especially if there's any type of dips in the price. And then the last 5% I'll keep in peer-to-peer lending. I'm not planning to add any more money this year there, so I'll just keep what I have. Hey, and by the way, I'm really curious to hear about your portfolio split. Let me know down in the comments. I read all of them, I pinky promise. Then my third goal is to invest about 15% of my income. Last year my goal was 10%, but most of the year I had 15% or more. This is just because I had some money on the sidelines as I expected bigger expenses in 24, like house renovation, but that didn't happen, so I had some extra to invest. So that's why I will keep it at 15% and see if I can keep it up, or maybe I'll have to lower it to 10% later in the year. But the way I was able to keep this habit in 2024 was to set recurring investments. And that way, basically my bank sends automatically an amount to my broker and the broker invests it. And so I don't need to think about it at all. This has saved me so much headspace, and it just happens without me thinking about it. I really encourage you trying it out. Especially if you invest most of the time in the same stock or ETF, it's just a perfect solution. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. If you want to learn how to set recurring investments in Europe, click on this video banner. I have a detailed tutorial about it. And then my fourth goal is related to learning. Now, I set the same exact goal last year, but honestly, I completely forgot about it. I didn't do anything. So this year I have a few things I want to learn more about. First, I want to learn to think holistically about industries or what's happening in the in the finance space. Not just direct cause and effect. AI is good, so then AI companies I should be buying that. And let me give you an example. For example, I saw Musk hanging out with Trump just before the US elections. They were like everywhere together, and all I was thinking is like, what is this guy doing? Like, what's the fun in that? What is he doing here? But instead, I should have just put my capitalist hat on and thought about it from that perspective. So why is Musk doing this? What's the benefit to him or his company? Okay, so if Trump wins, Musk will get something. What could that be? Power? Yeah, that could be. Some legislation or contracts that help his companies? That is very possible. Well, that's exactly what happened. Tesla stock just almost doubled after Trump won. And the thing is, these opportunities come more often than you think. In 2023, it was the AI hype. So instead of buying companies that create the AI, which also grew a lot that year, but it was even better to buy NVIDIA that supplies all the AI companies with the chips. So you're not just thinking about who's the player in that industry that is right now hot, you're thinking, what are other players that are supplying this hot industry, sort of speaking? These opportunities arise all the time. So I will try to find something to help me recognize this opportunity in a gold rush. So instead of going and finding the gold diggers, I want to identify the companies that sell the gold digging equipment. I don't know how to do this, and if this analogy really applies to Musk, I'm not sure how that works, but I hope you got the point. Another thing that I want to get better at is the macroeconomic impact on the stock market. So if people start losing jobs, initially it might increase the stock prices, because then short term the companies become more profitable, which is crazy and very dark, but this is the reality. And this is what I want to start understanding, this type of connections when it comes to macroeconomics. And the last goal is more of a rule for myself. No matter what I do, I don't want to stress or feel anxious about my investments. If I feel that way, it means I've invested too much or it's too risky for what I can take. I don't want to check my phone constantly for the latest price. No, I want to just set it, and then within time maybe check once a month or so. And I don't want to feel any type of stress when it comes to investment. It has to feel good, not making me stressed. That's my goal. And just in general, my investment strategy for 2025 is simple. I will keep investing monthly in my ETFs. As I mentioned already, I just automated this and I don't think about it at all. I just sometimes adjust the amounts if I want to invest a bit less or more, depending on my cash situation. But to bring a bit of excitement to my investing life, I will use 25% of my portfolio to buy riskier assets where the rewards are also higher. So for me, that's individual growth stocks and Bitcoin. I don't do any of the meme coins. I just don't see the point. To me, it's a waste of time. Yes, you can win big, but you need to get lucky and you need to spend a lot of time just thinking and monitoring the situation. Many times, if you are late by a few minutes, you might lose half of your money. It's just not for me. I can't handle that. But that said, for stocks and Bitcoin, I do set individual strategies. For example, something like, okay, I'll set trailing stop loss to 20% when the price has increased by 50%. Only then I set that trailing stop loss. This way I have instructions to my future self and I don't need to make decisions in the moment based on my emotions. This is something new I've been trying out in 2024 and I want to carry on with that. Now, if you're afraid that recession is just around the corner and you are not starting to invest because of that, I completely understand. But there's a simple strategy that will lower the risk and it is surprisingly easy to start with. That's why I created this video right here. I'll explain the strategy and show you the worst case scenarios in a spreadsheet so you can play around with that.